Today I want to talk to you about studio space. And as you can see, I got a new studio myself recently. You know, when I started my painting business, I didn't have very many painting supplies or tools. But as my business grew, so did the amount of painting supplies I added to my arsenal. So at first I started with just using my office space, which worked alright in the beginning, but it became a little tricky when painting supplies and mainly cans began to pile up. I always like to keep things simple, but I figured when doing mural art, it's really hard to have a minimalistic approach. There's just so many things you need to actually realize your ideas on the wall. So I needed to find a solution for this, and I eventually moved all my stuff into my garden shed and basically transformed this little hut into my can storage, if you will. It gave me more space to store all my paint, and even more important, I didn't have to do my office work in the same room as those cans anymore, because that's not particularly healthy. But the shed was for garden stuff, not for painting. So over the past weeks, I turned this room here into my designated mural painting studio. Everything in here must be practical and support my daily work as a mural painter. You see, I'm not planning on doing a lot of work in this space because, well, I'm a mural painter. I'm mostly working on location wherever the client is. This room is more for preparation. It's a space to prepare for the actual work. There's this quote from one of my all-time favorite authors, Stephen R. Covey. It says, "We must never be too busy to take time to sharpen the saw." And that hits the nail on the head. This is exactly what it is. It is a place to sharpen the saw. And now, since I've got some experience with other workspaces before, I kind of know what works for me and what doesn't. So I figured out 5 essential things I want to have in my studio to do my work. You know, planning materials, especially color, for a upcoming job can be very tedious work. But believe me when I say it becomes 10 times harder when you're disorganized with your supplies. I know what I'm speaking of. I was totally guilty of that in the past. So now I basically store my cans in 2 places. I got this shelf right here, which contains all my cans in use. They're categorized in colors and shades, so I can easily find whatever I need. And I also do have a second shelf for all my full cans. That's basically my storage. And they are, of course, also sorted by color. It's very easy to see what colors need to be restocked soon. And for all of you interested, this is the IKEA Kallax with 25 slots in total, which seems to be a good amount to organize the entire color palette. You know, as I said before, I'm a very practical person. I like to find solutions and be able to build them myself. So I set up a fully functional workbench in here to build the things I need to run my business. It is so nice to have a waist height surface to work on and all the tools I could ever need right at my fingertips. You see, this entire thing is built out of repurposed materials I already had, as well as some things I got specifically for it. This tabletop, for example, I used it as my desk in my office before. And then those big bold beams, they used to be the structure for my backyard garden wall. So I repurposed them to be the under construction for my tabletop, as well as my top shelf right here. So this workbench is, like many things in this studio, still a work in progress, and it's always open for change. For example, I put plywood on the back side of this thing, so I can easily place screws wherever I need them to hang stuff, and nothing is permanent. I can move everything around however I want. So the charging station is also part of my workbench. You see, I need a lot of batteries for my cameras and my tools. And after a long day out filming and painting, it's so easy to forget to charge all your batteries, only to find out the next day that you can't start working right away. And building this charging station right in front of my field of vision is a little bit like a crutch for myself to smack me right in my face as soon as I get back home and plug all those batteries into their chargers and don't have to worry about it anymore. So this is pretty awesome. Everything is always plugged in, easily accessible, and always ready to go. Sometimes I need to get typography logos or other symbols onto the wall, which is on a certain scale super tricky, if not impossible to do with a spray can. What I need to do to still achieve that is I have to cut stencils. And I used to do that by hand. Let me tell you, that is a lot of work. So a couple years ago I got this cutting plotter. It's a very tiny one, but it's totally enough for me, and it just saves me so much time. So I highly recommend you to invest in even a small plotter if you have to spray paint any sort of logo or typography. The last thing I really need in my studio is a designated spot for storing bucket paint, mixing paint, and cleaning brushes and rollers. So just recently I invested in an airless sprayer to paint large backgrounds, but that requires me to have a space to mix different shades of bucket paint. This also involves a lot more cleaning than just using spray cans. So for now, this is my solution here. It's pretty crappy, not gonna lie. I haven't really figured that out yet. My problem is this room does not have a freshwater tap, nor does it have a drain. So I got this sink right here, which is made for cleaning brushes and rollers and painting supplies, but I cannot install this in here. This basically leaves me with two solutions for this. I could build a rather mobile solution with big jerry cans for fresh water and gray water, or I can find another room to install this thing in. And to be honest, I'm leaning rather to the second option. I'm thinking about putting this into my basement. I got pretty much all the fittings there and I really don't have to worry about anything. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna install this in the basement and just deal with the fact that I don't have it right here in my studio. Sometimes you just have to find a workaround. Okay, big bonus tip here. Get yourself a portable painting cart. If you've been watching this channel for a while, I'm pretty sure you saw my car trunk build out I did last year. It was basically a shelf system which would hold my boxes that contain all my paint and tools and whatnot. Unfortunately, my car broke down a while ago, so I had to find a new solution for this. So a couple of weeks ago I got a new car, a bigger car as well. So my previous build out was custom made for my previous car, so it wouldn't really fit into my new car. So I took the opportunity to rethink the concept and transform what I already had, repurpose the lumber, and build something new, something more portable. So this is what I came up with. It is basically a mini tool and can storage on wheels. It's supposed to live in my trunk, just as the old one would, but now I'm able to roll it into my studio, pack it with all the supplies I need, and bring it back into my trunk, all at once, perfectly organized. I've got a bunch of these gray boxes in here, which I found to be perfect for transporting standard size cans. It also allows me to bring all my stuff right to the painting location whenever I can't get the car to it directly. I intentionally built this strong. You see, each of these wheels supports up to 70 kilograms. So I could technically have this packed with paint, stand on top of this while carrying someone on my shoulders. I mean, technically. You get the point. So this is one of those things that makes total sense to me in theory, but I guess we have to see how this performs in real life. All right, so this is it. This is my new Mural Painting Studio 2023 edition. And if you like my videos, consider subscribing. It's totally free and you can unsubscribe whenever you want. Peace.